Hello there! In this first video, we're going to talk about creativity. So, of course, but we're going to talk in specific about what creativity is. So, usually when I start with a workshop, I ask this question to the participants. So, I ask, what is creativity for you? Okay, this question is because creativity nowadays is very abused as a word. So we're listening about everybody talking about being creative. Companies want people to be creative, and so creativity is used and misused in a lot of contexts in a way that at some point we even don't know anymore what creativity is. If you think about that, when I was working in an agency, there were project managers, account managers, and then the creatives. So we were like like this kind of weird monkeys in a room, and they were calling us the creatives. So such as creative has become a job. Okay, so that's very weird, very confusing, and so that's why I'm always asking, what is creativity for you? And usually I receive a lot of different answers. So there is somebody who's saying creativity is the ability to connect the dots. Somebody else is like creativity is having a lot of ideas. Somebody else is about, I don't know, creativity is innovating, okay? Or creativity is building connections between two ideas that nobody saw before, or creativity is thinking outside the box, and so on. And there is no correct or wrong answer. So my question is always like a trick question. But I'm also asking you that are watching this video to think about what is creativity for you. I mean, if you have a piece of paper, just write it down, okay, for me creativity is, and you give the answer. It's gonna be helpful for the end of the video, and maybe half of the video. Because the next question that I usually ask to the participants is, okay, if I say, my friend Mark is really creative, what do you think? I mean, what comes to your mind? What do you mean with Mark is creative? Then the answers slightly change, because people start answering like, okay, Mark has a lot of ideas, Mark has a talent, Mark is an artist, Mark has an artistic talent, so it's a writer, sculptor, something like that. He works in the creative industry. So you see, before, creativity was basically everything. And then suddenly, when we think to something specific, creativity becomes something else, like being talented in something artsy. Sometimes, most of the time, I have to say most of the time, with the answers that I get. So the next question is, okay, is Steve Jobs more creative than Shakespeare? And then usually people are like, okay, I have to think about it. Is Henry Miller more creative than a chef? Is a sculptor more creative than a teacher? What's your answer? I mean, at that point, people start arguing, no? It's like, okay, but that depends on how the teachers teach. That depends on how the chef cooks. If he innovates, then he is creative. Otherwise, he or she, they're not creative at all. Okay, so you start seeing a pattern, maybe. The important thing is, if you answered something like creativity is connecting the dots, and then you feel like a creative person is a person with an artistic talent, then you are basically sabotaging yourself. Because what happens that if you have like a new idea and you would like to implement it and to feel creative and to, express yourself, then you are gonna stop because maybe I'm not skilled enough. Maybe I'm not talented enough. So if you have some prejudices, no, about creativity that you may not have not considered yet, those are gonna fuck you up because they're gonna sabotage you completely. So that's super important that you realize what kind of prejudices you have and you start considering them as something that is limiting you. Okay, so that's like the first step in trying to be creative. Because for me, and these are my videos, so I'm gonna I'm gonna give you obviously my vision about creativity. Creativity is creating from nothing. Okay, so basically the paper was white and now there is something. Okay, that is creativity. Very simple, very easy, very wide. The thing is, my vision of creativity is that I'm getting something from I don't know where, okay, an idea, I'm taking it down and I'm building something. I'm placing this idea, no, I'm bringing this idea in the world, okay? So there is something new that there wasn't before. It can be a manuscript, it can be a new project, it can be a new recipe, it can be a new way of doing an old recipe, it can be a new way of living, okay? When I was working in an agency and I was completely fed up and I was living my probably some of my worst years ever, okay? My analyst at the time, he was telling me, Matteo, you are repeating the same pattern all over again. That is not a creative behavior, okay? And he was right. I mean, also realizing at some point, I don't wanna live this way anymore. I'm gonna create a new life. I'm gonna imagine a new way of doing something and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna actually do it. That's super creative. So I'm saying this to you because you can be creative, everybody. I mean, we all can be creative. We all have the ability to imagine something new and to bring it to life. We all have that ability. And it doesn't, you don't need skills, you don't need talent, you don't need anything of that, okay? There are some people that suddenly, from nothing, they have a huge, nice idea, they have the courage to bring it to life, their life changes completely, and that's amazing, and those people are super creative. So we all can do that. Creativity is possible for everybody. Just you need to be very, very sure about your limiting thoughts. Because if you have inside this feeling like that Mark, my friend Mark, is creative just because he is talented in something or because he is able to innovate and you don't even know what innovate is exactly because it's another non-word basically, then you are sabotaging yourself, okay? So it's super important that you realize what you can do, this power of expressing yourself that you have, okay, that we all have, and the fact that you can do it whenever you want. Okay, of course you need an idea, you need strengths, you need a lot of things, but you have all those things. I mean, the day that a person was trying to bake a cake, no, an apple cake, and they made it wrong, it happened at 10, okay? And that's an innovation, that's a new idea, that's a new something that they appreciated and they were like, okay, so let's do it again. So, I mean, the ability that we all have, this possibility of create something new is here for everybody. And it's amazing that we are like magicians, no? That we can actually create things that were not here before. So enjoy that. I mean, celebrate that. That's the purpose of this video, basically. And in the next video, we will talk about the responsibility of creativity. Because as Spider-Man's uncle said, no? With great powers comes great responsibilities. So in the next video, we're going to talk about that. And please share, like, subscribe to the channel, support in any way you want, and see you on the next video. Ciao!